What's that you say? Blockbuster?
Ancient time, ancient places, inheritance, I think that.
Oh, you meant Blockbuster trade. Oh, right. Lakers Pelicans. They actually finally made that deal? Davis for what? Let me see. The Pelicans have agreed to a deal to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers for Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks, including the number 4 overall in 2019 draft. I pretty much looked at it. I had started to get that same feeling that I had with the Jimmy Butler saga, where I was just like, can we please just do it already? Now, obviously, the monkey wrench that got thrown into this was that the Pelicans actually managed to win the number 1 pick in one of the more dramatic drafts we've had. And the Lakers happened to move up to 4, which kind of helped both of them. Now, the Pelicans will be able to select Zion Williamson, who apparently is the next LeBron, next superstar, next megastar that's coming out of the draft. Once in a generation talent has been used to describe this player. Pretty much, Anthony Davis had expressed his desire to leave. The Lakers had a package that people felt was the best, if not at least one of the top 2. And that other one was Boston, who unfortunately had found their assets depreciating due to the whole Kyrie drama, and Kyrie himself not really necessarily looking to be coming back anytime soon. Most likely, from what has been reported, Brooklyn would be where he ends up, which is a whole nother rabbit hole to dive into. But we're here to talk about the AD trade. The Lakers pretty much give up the farm. I guess you could call it the farm. Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and 3 firsts, including the 2019 one. And for the Lakers, what makes this interesting and what throws a lot of questions in here is the fact that, for one, you traded most of your team to get him, and now you need a starting point guard. Most likely a starting shooting guard, because I don't think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is going to be there unless he's signed longer than I thought. And along with that, you have Brandon Ingram, Ball, those guys who are in positions of need now that you'll have. And of course, Anthony Davis will cover for some of these things, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Lakers will put like a team around these 2 guys, who's going to want to come there. Apparently they might be looking to get Kemba Walker, but Kemba Walker looks to be like, look bro, I'm staying in Charlotte. I'm playing him to flag. You're not going to take me out of Charlotte. Even if it kills me, I'm staying in Charlotte. Really interesting to see what pieces will they find to put around AD and LeBron, and who's going to want to play with these guys and who's going to be willing to go. Now, people's eyes might turn to Kawhi since he's going to be a free agent. He hasn't really given any indication one way or another, but everyone seems to be writing writing it into history that he is definitely leaving. He's not going to stay. And then he won the title, so now everybody's like kind of slowly turning off that. But it'll be interesting, yes, to see what will the Lakers put around AD and LeBron. LeBron coming off a groin injury and having a lot of rest will definitely contribute to him being able to come back a lot stronger than he might have last year and when they missed the playoffs. Along with that, AD is someone who has a considerable amount of injuries. Now, he is an awesome talent and someone that should not be taken for granted, but his injuries do give people some pause, at least for me, just because I tried to keep up with that, because I just know it's like I would hate when they would like his teammates throw him alley-oops that were just a little too awkward, and he's long enough to go get it, but I was just like, oh god, he's gonna get injured again, isn't he? And then he would get injured, and I'm like, I told you I gotta stop throwing him alley-oops. Oh, weird. AD's history of injuries has definitely led me to wonder where they'll be able to get help if he does go down, or who is going to be able to cover for that. Beyond that, I am just going to be interested to see how this tandem works, as the last superstar big man LeBron had around him had to adjust his game significantly. Kevin Love and Chris Bosh were both guys who played alongside big threes that had 2 ball-dominant forward/guard pairs, and now Davis will be a superstar power forward who is mostly like a modern day center, depending on where you consider his skill set to be. And LeBron's style of play tends to lend to big men kind of being pushed into a different kind of role. So I'm curious to see how will they interact with that, how will they handle that. Lakers have managed to acquire AD, and that's cool for them. The Pelicans, on the other hand, now get to just start fresh, kinda, because they still got Drew Holiday, but I think it is important to keep some veterans around. People do say trust the process, and to an extent, it has worked trusting the process, but that's a very kind of rare situation, and there's a lot of things around it that make it unique, and trying to copy it to a T is not going to lend you the same results. Those results are not promised. You're not going to fall into a Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid pairing. Pelicans now have Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, along with a fourth pick, which apparently they might just look to move as well to get even more assets, which is pretty cool. Like David Griffin, he's just winning either way. Getting all these assets and being able to build a young, exciting team in New Orleans is going to be fun. I think the important thing is to keep an eye on the injuries, and again, just like I did with AD, I'm looking at Lonzo Ball has not been able to necessarily have a fruitful career in terms of playing. He's been kind of out with different little like injuries, little nicks, little tears here. Same, not to the level of AD, but he's only been here for like 2-3 years at this point, and there's still like a lot of tenuous things that have been happening to him, like physically. So I'm just wondering if he's going to be able to stay healthy. Brandon Ingram has the whole blood clot thing that just happened, and clearly that didn't affect his value to the point that they couldn't trade him. They actually wanted to keep, the Lakers actually wanted to keep Kyle Kuzma over him, or not over him, but they really didn't want to let go of Kyle Kuzma, so I was like, okay. So yeah, and Josh Hart had some issues as well, injury wise. Like they just kind of all started like just breaking down as like the Lakers completely failed to make the playoffs. So now getting a fresh start, I think it doesn't save you from injury, but these guys might be able to play with a clear head, knowing that, okay, we got traded, it's done, we're not playing in LA anymore, we don't have to be under that kind of just melodramatic cloud. LeBron gets his guy, and we get to play here, and we get to make something new here with Zion and whoever else comes, because most likely everybody thinks that the Pelicans will pick Zion and build like a fun team around that. And I think that I would love for them to bloom and blossom. I just think that I just kind of hesitate a little bit with the injuries, but the talent that they have shown and the skills and abilities that they do have really does make it interesting to see how the Pelicans are going to grow. And I think a lot of people will have eyes on them just to see what happens in the future for the Pelicans. Now, the Lakers, obviously, you have the whole thing with the Warriors and the fact that Klay Thompson's ACL is torn and Kevin Durant's Achilles is just busted. And so both of these guys being out definitely makes the West a lot more open. Now, the East, I think the contenders will stay the same depending on if Kawhi leaves or goes. Most likely that hierarchy will still stay the same beyond Kyrie leaving. The East doesn't get affected too much, but the West definitely is different now that the Warriors are only really going to have Steph and Draymond guaranteed to play next year. Klay Thompson most likely wouldn't come back until next February, while Kevin Durant is pretty much going to redshirt an entire season unfortunately due to his Achilles tear. So with the West being open and AD and LeBron being able to play together, it'll be interesting to see if they will mesh, how their styles will come together, how the Pelicans will play, and this definitely does make the West a lot more interesting than I think people had a feeling it would be. Depending on, like, obviously Kevin Durant's free agency is really the big key thing that everyone's really worried about, or at least curious about, like, where will he go, will he stay? But it's sort of inconsequential where he goes now due to the fact that he won't be playing. So again, the West is now more open, and so now I feel like people are going to be a little more excited about the West than they have been in years, due to the fact only because the Warriors were so dominant that everyone was like, all right, they're going to win the title, so none of this really matters. And so there was, unfortunately, this kind of, not disdain, but just melancholic acceptance, very depressing air about it. Like, I was good, I didn't really care either way because I'm a Wizards fan. Lakers look interesting now. Be curious to see how they build their team. If the 2 stars they got will be able to stay healthy, will the young core as well as the picks and whatever they do with the 4th pick, will they be able to stay healthy and build something interesting and new? And yeah, Pelicans and Lakers. AD is finally in LA, so I can stop hearing about how he's going to LA. I'm sure Lakers fans are at least happy, and Pelicans fans should be really happy too. I'm excited for the Pelicans more so than I am the Lakers, I guess. I don't know. I'm curious though. So, AD trade is finally done. Unibrow is in the California sunshine. Well, this guy says Houston has the beard. Now LA has the brow. Is the West like trying to do some weird stylized hair thing? Because like if so, they just need like Dallas to get like I guess weird brow. Someone needs the sideburns. Is Boston the button chops? I just uncovered an NBA conspiracy.